She's awesome. Her name is Laura Jarman, and I'm going to read her biography for you. Dear Lizzie opened its doors in October 2005 and is located at the bustling intersection of the Alpine and Highland Highways in Highland, Utah. With an emphasis on home decor, accessories, and fine gifts, the boutique quickly became a popular destination for local women seeking lovely products in a unique retail atmosphere. 1 year later, the Bistro was debuted, which offers lunch fare and a delicious array of sweet treats, from fancy and fabulous cupcakes to the crowd-pleasing Dizzy Lizzie cherry cream soda, which I really want to try. Dear Lizzie just celebrated their third year in business last fall with an additional expansion that features Lizzie Luxe apparel and fine accessories. This also coincided with the grand opening of La-Di-Da Baby Chic, a separate retail venture located just across the street with a focus on products for mommy, baby, and children. The owner, Laura Jarman, was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area and has a Bachelor of Arts in English. She explains that the mixed retail concept of Dear Lizzie evolved from a series of creative influences and years of sweetly inspired daydreams and research. While raising 4 young children and dabbling in a number of at-home business enterprises, from graphic design and custom home decor to party planning and few dream weddings, Laura was waiting for just the right moment and opportunity to debut the ultimate everyday party, translated into a shop of her own. In the meantime, she relished a particular project as designer and stylist of a feature article on flower girls for Better Homes and Gardens Weddings 2004. The Jarman family relocated from California to Utah shortly thereafter. 1 month after her youngest child started first grade, Laura opened the doors of Dear Lizzie with the support and hands-on effort of her husband Daryl, her family, and generous friends. The name Dear Lizzie itself, along with the iconic little girl image, is inspired in a playful twist of her mother Elizabeth's name and the celebration it is to be a girl. Now, with that same support, in addition to an ever-growing creative staff and countless vendors, Dear Lizzie's everyday delights continue to inspire customers to live beautifully. I'm so excited to have Laura here. She has a wonderful personality. She's obviously a great mother and a great businesswoman. So let's give her a round of applause.
No? Does that work? Okay. All right, great. Well, it is such an honor and a privilege to be here and to be invited to come speak to you. And I imagine that you're all here because you have entrepreneurial and business dreams of your own that you would like to see fulfilled. So it's a treat to be able to come and share the story of Dear Lizzie and the course that it took and the evolution that it took to become the store and the business that it is today. It was actually really nice to be able to pause and think about and kind of organize my thoughts and the experience in a way that might hopefully help you along your paths. And I know that as I thought about it and dreamt about it, I sure had a lot of questions and had a lot of learning to do along the way. So anyway, so thank you, and I hope you'll think of questions too while I present our story that I can answer for you at the end. I'll just touch a little bit briefly again on who I am. I was born, like it said, in the Bay Area, in the prettiest little town you can imagine, Pleasanton, California, and really spent all my growing up years there except for a little stint in overseas in Indonesia. My dad was a civil engineer, and that took us to Indonesia, and actually a part of that was quite literally in the jungles of Borneo. And it was a unique experience as a child and a unique experience for our family. And then after that, we returned back to Pleasanton, where I finished all my growing up years and my high school years, and of course worked in retail at the mall and did all the things that you do growing up, and it was a wonderful place. After I actually graduated from BYU in Hawaii, spent a little bit of time here, and then finished over there. I have a Bachelor of Arts in English, which was a wonderful experience, and it was a wonderful place to go to school. And a lot of my what I view as the skills that I've brought to my business today started then. And so I always appreciate that experience. Married my wonderful husband, Daryl, and landed back in the Bay Area quite unexpectedly in the same little town, Pleasanton, and that is where we started our family and raising our 4 children. And that is where my story of dabbling in business and my little ideas of Dear Lizzie started to grow. I will say, just as a point of interest, when I graduated from college with my English degree, that's a big accomplishment, and you feel really ready to tackle the world when you embark on graduating. And I remember going back to the Bay Area and just being so excited to go share my great skills with somebody. And what I actually ended up in was going right back to some secretarial work that I had done in the summers and in between. Luckily, however, I ended up landing a job after many, many interviews as assistant to the president of a corporate travel agency. And at the time, the travel industry was very different, and they would go pitch to very large accounts in Silicon Valley high-tech companies to manage all their travel. Well, my responsibilities really were filing and typing, and I kid you not, serving coffee to the owners and things like that. But I will say that I can even look back to that experience as a transformative time. Sometimes I think we learn things that we don't even realize we're learning at the moment. And to have worked alongside this wonderful woman who really took me under her wing and brought me on sales calls with her as I took notes and did all those things, it was a fantastic learning experience for me about how the world of business works and how sales works and the whole thing. So that's a little bit of part of my story. During that time, had a lot of enthusiasm and excitement for the idea that I could make a little bit of money while being at home with my children, and so I dabbled in some various little ventures of my own during that time, which I'll kind of touch on later. Before I really begin on the process of starting Dear Lizzie and growing and developing Dear Lizzie, I thought I'd introduce you to Dear Lizzie itself so that you could really have a visual sense of the store and what it looks like and what it feels like. This is Dear Lizzie herself. And when we were thinking about a name for the store and this concept for the store, I didn't really have a name at the very beginning, but I did have an idea that I wanted to use this picture. This is actually a picture of my mother Elizabeth when she was 5 years old. And I love the idea of being a girl. And I knew that the feeling that I would want in the store would be kind of one of whimsy and wonder and this sense that, there can be meaningful play in our lives, and that, as little girls love to, play house and play dress up and play store for that matter, that this would be a fun, persona to give to the store. And I love, it's obviously personal to me, and I love it that, as people walk into the store, this is the image that greets them. And it's also actually lent itself very well to how we market our store and our products. It's allowed us to do some very playful and creative things that way. I hesitated to share this part with you because, a lot of times when you're embarking on a venture like this, it is very personal to you. And I want to tell you what I see when I look at that picture as well. What I know when I look at that picture was that little girl at age 5. This picture was taken 2 weeks before my mother Elizabeth left with her parents, on a boat from Denmark to the United States. And in this picture, I love it because she looks peaceful and content. She has this darling knitted blouse on, and as the story goes, it was her 2 grandmothers, knowing that she was about to leave, took her to get her photo taken. And I love the idea that they loved her and got her all dolled up to go take this last parting picture. And of course, for me, knowing that those grandmas didn't see this child again after she came to the United States, it really does symbolize for my family, my heritage, the courage and the sacrifice that brought them here and that paved the way for me to be here and have the opportunities that I have. So it's kind of a little secret that when I look at that picture, I get a whole lot more, energy and good feeling, and it kind of evokes for me just this, the strength of the women in my family and in my history, and I appreciate it. And nobody else would necessarily know, especially now, 3 years into it. I'm so sometimes even removed from the front of the store and the things that go on there, but it's fun for me. It's a fun little secret for me, and now you know. So the grand opening of Dear Lizzie was about 3 years ago, and this was our grand opening announcement that we sent out in a bulk mailing. And there's our cute little girl image again, and you can see how we kind of used it as we personified her. It's my very own oh so grand opening, and you're invited. And so we've kind of gone with this notion from the beginning that every day is a party at Dear Lizzie, and we bring it every day. That's me right there, and I'm getting ready to put my party hat on, so you're all invited. This is a general sense of the store and what it looks like. It's a very layered, very eclectic mix of product. We like things that sparkle. It's very layered, our style and our aesthetic. This particular picture is of an artist that we had. I love to focus on local artists. This is actually a national artist that we had come in, and she did a trunk show and a book signing for us, and I love when we can focus on special people and the things that they do as well in their businesses. We like to be as creative as we possibly can be with our displays. This we brought in last spring. Actually, my daughter Rosie made this for a school project, and it's all made out of paper, which I love to point out because it's rather special, and she's 14, so made it extra special. Here's just a little bit more of a few of our favorite things. Linens. We have a huge mix of product at Dear Lizzie. This is a shot of our baby area, which of course now we've launched into a store of its own. This was just last summer. I thought I'd give you a taste of a showroom that we did for a parade home. And it was a baby nursery, and it was a Rockabye baby theme, so we hung a cradle from the ceiling. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this as fast as it happened, but I couldn't be more delighted that it happened the way it did. 4 months after we opened Dear Lizzie, the space next door to us became available. And sometimes you don't always have control over the timing of everything, but in this case, we felt like we needed to jump on the opportunity to expand into that space. And we came up with the concept of adding a bistro to the store. And it's a wonderful, once again, we brought the sparkle and the shine, and we have a little dining area that seats about 30 people. That's our pastry case. Lots of yummy treats in there. You can kind of see in this picture how it connects to the store. There's a very large opening in the store itself that connects to the bistro. And I just can't tell you how delightful it is during our lunch hour. There's just that laughter of the guests that are eating. Women are shopping. There's wonderful music playing, and it really is kind of a party atmosphere that we love there. These are some of our treats. That's the Dizzy Lizzie that we were talking about earlier, and it's really good. It's really good. You're all invited to come out and have one. And those are some cupcakes that we serve. After we quickly opened that second phase of the bistro, we had a little year of a pause and a breather, and then last fall, again, expanded again. The space on the other side of us came available, as it turned out, and so we took a category of merchandise that we carried, some apparel and some clothing, and we brought that over to that space and made it its own space, which was wonderful because we'd always carried a little mix of clothing, but we quite literally, our customers would be trying things on in the water heater closet or in the back room or in the bathroom, and it just did not suit our way of doing things. But they were very patient with us, and we opened this wonderful new space where we have 3 beautiful fitting rooms, and we were able to really expand on the inventory that we offer in our Lizzie Lux area. So we love it. This is what it looks like. And actually, the way it turned out, it just felt like a seamless addition to the store, like it had always been there, so we like it. Also, as part of the Lizzie Lux concept, we wanted to have some private label clothing as well that would only be available at Dear Lizzie. And so this was our first garment that we introduced. We call it the Perfect Party Skirt, and it came in lots of colors, and this was some advertising that we did for it. It went over very well right before the holidays. These are actually employees and my daughter, and I was really pleased with how it all came out. At the same time as the Lizzie Lux opened, Lizzie Lux opened in mid-September. Then we spent the whole next month getting all of our holiday out at Dear Lizzie. And then the very next month, we opened La Di Da, which is its own retail store across the street. So it almost felt like opening 3 stores one month after another, to be completely honest. We all survived it. But La Di Da is its own retail store. It's right across the street from Dear Lizzie. I love it. It's completely focused on maternity, children, and infant apparel and products. And it's kind of got a little bit of a look of its own over there, and it's been really nice. And because of the close proximity, I'm grateful to say that it's been fairly manageable as well. Now I'll kind of back up again and tell you how it started. Now that you can kind of have a sense of what Dear Lizzie looks like, I am a big believer, and I learned over the years that there's really a time and a season for things to happen in your life. And the idea for a store, for me, probably started gelling around the time my oldest son was maybe 2 years old, a toddler. He's 17 now. And I just, in this beautiful little town that we lived in, I'd lived there now for 30 years over all this time, and had really watched it grow from a teeny tiny town to a very beautiful, bustling city. And we had this lovely, very pedestrian Main Street area. And as my children were young, I would pop in and out of little, quaint boutiques and shops very often. During the week, it was just part of my routine. So I had this sense that I loved this idea that there was this neighborhood place. Almost kind of reminds you of Cheers, except it wasn't, a bar. But just that you knew the shop owners. You would cross paths with people that you knew, and pick up little things here and there that would kind of lift your spirits or kind of satisfy your little whims to purchase now and then. And it was really neat. And I really think I knew from then that I had an idea that I'd love to have a shop someday. Now, in between those ideas starting to form and Dear Lizzie actually opening, there was probably well over 10 years of time in there. Now, during those years, I did a lot of other things. I mentioned that I had a lot of home-based businesses and dabbled in all kinds of different things. And there was a real great energy that came with that. At one point, I was making products, and I would go to boutiques just like the one that I have now, and I would try to sell my wares. Would you like to carry my custom pillows or my handmade crowns or whatever it may be? And I remember just being so excited, like the whole time I'd be making things, I think, if I could just get it into cute garden seed or cute, I had all my little favorite shops, and just loved the idea and go through the whole nervous energy of calling the owner and seeing if she'd make a space of time to see what I had, and then she'd place the order. And I just love that. Although I have to say, part of what led me to the idea that I thought I would enjoy the idea of being the shop owner is that, as exciting as it was to get that order, I would always be driving home, and then I'd be thinking, sheesh, now I got to make it all. I got to go home and make it all. And that mixed in with the busyness of your everyday life and your children and everything, it was tough. And it taught me that the idea that you can have it all is a little bit of a myth. It actually is a really big myth, because for every gain, there really is a sacrifice. For every order that I met, there probably really was a dinner that went unmade, or maybe a diaper change that took a little too long, or things like that. I will say I'm totally grateful that I was able to do those things at home, but it taught me a wonderful lesson that for this next thing that I wanted to do, it would be worth waiting for the moment in my life where I could really fully give it the attention that it would need to be all that it could be. So in my mind, the thing that needed to happen was my youngest child needed to start first grade, and in the meantime, I would just kind of allow this journey to evolve, and I would think about it. I would save little clippings, and I would do all kinds of things, just kind of knowing that eventually this would happen. About 5 years ago, we ended up making a big family transition and moving to Utah. And Utah is a wonderful place. It's been a fantastic move for our family. We just didn't have any Utah connections. And so I'm the oldest of 5 children. My parents, for their own career reasons, came here about 12 years ago. And then pretty soon we were all alone in that sweet little town I grew up in, and it's not very fun to be all alone without your family. And so when this opportunity came for us to move, we decided to give it a try and come here to Utah. And this also brought us one step closer to this opportunity to open a store. It really changed the dynamics of how our family worked. We had gone through all these years of me being at home with my kids, dabbling in my things. My husband worked in Silicon Valley, commuted very long hours and very long days. And so this was going to be a big change for us, and it really has been a big change for us. Right when we moved here, I immediately started looking for a space, a retail space, and just kind of started being new to the area, just really tried to pay attention to where the different retail developments were. We were still even kind of trying to decide where we wanted to live. We ended up in Alpine, and so I really kind of focused on that little area right there. Now, I'd been coming and visiting for years. I had sisters here that lived in Cedar Hills and stuff, and I would drive through that area. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with it down there, but it's a very quiet area. But I would think, where do all the girls go around here? I was used to my little hometown where I could pop in and out of sweet little places, and just thought, I just really felt like this idea that I wanted could be applied here because I saw that there was something missing. So I started looking, and like I said, probably within a month of moving here, contacted a property management company that I immediately started talking to and just asking a lot of questions, developed a relationship with the person who later became my landlord, and over 2 years, quite literally, would talk back and forth. They had other projects in other places, but I just kind of kept looking at this area. Now, there's not a lot there to choose from. And because of this downtown pedestrian idea that I had in my head, I always imagined that my shop might be in a little old house, like this darling old, house that would have a lot of character in of itself. And so there was actually one point where I came across that in Alpine and almost took over an existing business, and then really struggled and really tried to listen to my instincts. Number one, my youngest child wasn't in first grade yet, and that was that was the big thing that as personally I'd been waiting for. And then number two, there was this little barrier of the idea that Alpine's a really small town and it was really off the beaten track, and I knew that it would be a challenge to bring customers to that place. They'd really have to seek it out as a destination to find it. And I'm actually so glad that I listened to that challenge. I think a lot of times we try to convince ourselves. I loved this little house. I really wanted it to work, but having a business has its challenges all by itself. So it almost reminds me of that feeling when you're dating, or that advice you get when you're dating. Every little problem, every little thing that's happening now is going to be magnified later after you get married. Just know that. And so, I thought it was good. It was good to pay attention to all the ways I was feeling about this place. And I finally, set that place aside and kept looking. Well, one day, I was driving through the intersection where the Alpine and Highland highways intersect, and if you live in Alpine, you almost have to drive through that intersection to get anywhere. And so as I was driving through, there's the Kohler Shopping Center. It's your run-of-the-mill, average strip mall with a grocery store and just a series of little shops, a dry cleaner and such. And of course, I'd been driving past it for 2 years and hadn't really even given it a thought because it was so outside of the idea that I had for the space that I wanted. So for whatever reason, sitting at the traffic light, I was looking over there and thinking, if I had to pick a spot, what spot would I pick? And I thought, well, I guess I'd pick that corner spot, that little corner that's facing the intersection, and it's kind of got a neat flat front. It's not like down on the other side. I had all these little game I played, but I've been doing that game for years in all kinds of places and spaces. So what do you know? Quite literally within a couple weeks, I was driving by again, and that particular space had a for lease sign in the window. And it's really unusual, I think, to look at a space and imagine that it would be great and then have it come available if it's occupied. That's very, very strange, but it happened. And luckily, this person that I had already developed a relationship, it was his space that he was leasing. And once that location was determined, and you hear that all the time in business, location, 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 well, you need to believe it because the location is truly fundamental to the success of your business, whatever that business may be. There's going to be a right location for your business. So once the location was decided upon, that's where I think things get kicked really into high gear. I think that's when the true startup phase of our business began. And I like to call it the nuts and bolts because really for all the creative thinking that I'd done and the fun I imagined it would all be, that's when it gets serious. As you're kind of negotiating a lease and getting ready to make the big commitment, there's a lot of questions that start to come up, and they're not the fun ones. They're not the ones that are fun to daydream about. So the first thing, of course, is financing. And I was lucky enough to be referred to a loan officer that was in charge of the women's financial group at Zions Bank. And this proved to be absolutely invaluable to me. You hear a lot of ways. I had thought about ways to finance a business, but usually they involve home equity, line of credit, possibly your credit cards, possibly your rich uncle who might fund you. But the home equity option actually might not be an option anymore. But there's all these different ways, but it actually was wonderful to be able to go and talk to somebody in the banking industry and to really work on developing this relationship with her. She suggested an SBA loan and warned me in advance that it's a arduous, tedious process to go through to get an SBA loan, but for the type of business that I was starting and for startups in particular, it's really one of the only ways to finance a business through the banking industry. And so I went with her recommendation and started the process of getting this loan together. Now, interestingly enough, for all the time that I had spent thinking and planning and choosing my space, what happens at this point is it almost reverses. Where you think you're making all the choices, suddenly you're trying to get people to choose you. Okay, first you have to pitch your idea to the landlord and convince them that you're going to be a solid business. This particular location had a number of failed businesses repeatedly in it. In fact, people that lived in Alpine and knew I was considering thought, I don't know if you want that. I don't know if you want that spot. I don't think anything's lasted more than a year in that spot. And then, of course, from the landlord's point of view, they were interested in getting something solid in there. And so to go in and pitch your idea and try to convince them that, my boutique is going to be perfect right there, it's a little daunting. You have to have a lot of confidence in what you're trying to do. And then you get to do it again and go do it to the bank. And so part of the requirement for the SBA loan was to write a business plan, which I had no clue how to write a business plan. My loan officer gave me a template to follow. I went online. This is how it looked in the end. It was a presentation. I have my own little inspirations on the front of how I thought the store would look. But there's a lot of detail in here, and really it was an absolutely invaluable exercise. It's something I refer to often, even still, as the structure for what I imagined the business would be, how I thought the marketing should be. I mean, it really forces you to look at your plan in every conceivable way in detail, and it really helps. I have one little funny story. Shortly before my loan approval came, and after just meeting after meeting after meeting with this loan officer, she was very technical, very, I mean, literally the stack of papers for this is like this high on her desk. I don't even know how she would keep track of it all. She would give me my assignments. I'd bring the papers back that she needed, and it would be added to this, this mass of paper. And I remember one day sitting there, and I just said, I'm a little embarrassed to ask this, but can people make money doing what I want to do? Like, she didn't laugh at me when I asked it, but I really wasn't at a stage in my life or in our family's life where I was looking for a hobby, where I was looking for something fun to do. I thought maybe it might be something that could generate a profit, but I really didn't know. And very respectfully, she said, I see women utilize their strengths and their skills to put together businesses that work all the time. And looking at your plan and the experience that you have and the energy that you're bringing to it, I think you have every chance to actually maybe make a little money, doing what you want to do. Now, I wasn't motivated to have a business by becoming a millionaire. My ambitions for it were tiny, but like I said, I knew that there'd be a sacrifice involved in this, and if you're going to step into something where you're putting great demands on your family and on yourself, it needed to be a worthwhile venture for us, and gratefully it has been. Also, again, in this nuts and bolts, in this startup phase, is this idea of sourcing all this inventory. I mean, you see just this mass array of product that we carry, and where do you get it? Where do you find it? How do you, develop these relationships? Now, I mentioned that I've been planning this for a long time, so I had actually little files of things that I've torn out of magazines or, products that were interesting to me, and so that's the first place I went. But that summer leading up to our grand opening in October, I did some traveling and started really amassing, all the product that we would be putting in the store. And this was a really interesting experience because, like I said, you have this idea, but really when it comes right down to it and you're actually living it, my metaphor for that time was, I wish somebody could hold my hand. Like, you just wonder if you're doing it right. Am I doing it right? Do all the other people that have boutiques, do they do it this way? Is it okay, how I'm doing it? And so those months involved a lot of phone calls to my loan officer. I'm at the show right now. I swear I'm spending all the money. Is that okay? Yes, it's okay. She would reassure me that it was okay, that's what that budget was for, and focus on spending it in that category, and you're good. So, I had a one particular sales rep that I came across. She was a very colorful person, and as I talked to her, she actually was a sales rep for a number of lines of jewelry, and she had, in our conversation, I was telling her that I was new and just starting to gather, and we were planning on opening in the fall, and she goes, oh yeah, I had a store for years, back when I was a hippie in the Bay Area. I had a store for years, and loved it, and of course now I'm on the road, and I'm doing this end of it, which I equally love. And I said, and I kind of told her this thing, gosh, I wish there's somebody to hold my hand. I just don't always know that I'm doing it right. And she goes, well, make no mistake about it. You are stepping off into the abyss. You're just taking that step, and there's really no way around it. And she said, but, she wasn't saying it to scare me. She was actually saying it to encourage me, because She said, I travel all over the place, and I see all kinds of businesses just that are, independently owned businesses, and they're all different. And there is no one way. There is no one path to get to this, to this place for you. And so be fearless. Just do it. If you have your vision, just go. And that was actually very comforting to hear from somebody who'd been in the business and who sees the business that, don't waste your time wondering and worrying if you're doing it like so-and-so down on Main Street is doing it, and wondering what are the things that made her venture work. Just really focus on the tricks you have in your own bag and just go with it. And so that was good advice, and that's what I did. And of course, I would always ask a lot of questions. Once we were back and getting our space all ready and painting and ripping up carpet and doing all that stuff, there was just, all the technicalities of it all. For a creative brain, that part's challenging. So, you had to have your accounting systems in place. And then, of course, how do you ring a sale? Like, what kind of computer program allows you to ring a sale and track your inventory? And so there was that whole research that went into that process. And I had back in the Bay Area, I had gotten to know some shopkeepers there, and they were so generous with their support, and obviously very non-competitive situation with me being in a completely different state. I remember talking to one of them, and just after coming home from a trade show with a stack of purchase orders, I just remember, you have notes on them, and you just think, how do I even organize this? And she over the phone just said, well, this is the way I do it. I have a binder, it's alphabetical. When the purchases come in, I match them up. She kind of just took me through this whole process, and every time somebody gives you just that little piece of information, it just takes away that whole learning curve for yourself, and you can kind of adopt what works for them and then integrate it into what works for you. So this was all accumulating, all this technical nuts and bolts of the startup was leading to this big grand opening night. And I just have to tell you, the grand opening night, being a party girl and a party planner, this is a party that I had dreamt about for years. Getting the root canal, dreaming of the grand opening. Rocking the baby in the wee hours of the morning, dreaming of the grand opening. It was just really something that I thought about. I just knew my whole family would be there. I knew that we'd have yummy treats and sweets, and it would be an opportunity the night before our actual opening to practice, ringing sales and stuff for the big event the next day. And so I had a lot of energy and a lot of focus on this grand opening. And of course, we did the invitation and really treated it like a party. Well, a couple of days, actually the night before the grand opening party, my girlfriend, who had come to town quite literally over her 40th birthday to spend 2 solid weeks with me, left her 4 children at home and came, and just day and night. I've really never experienced the sleep deprivation, even with babies, that happened during those 2 weeks leading up to the deadline of that grand opening. We would just quite literally work around the clock till we were nuts, and then maybe sleep for 2 hours and then come back and hit it again. It just took that much. And of course the hands and help of everybody else too. Well, finally, the night before, she goes, we've got to take this paper off the windows because you have it all papered up, and it's all kind of feels very safe and private when you have all the paper on your windows before the grand reveal. And she goes, we've got to see what it looks like from the outside, or we've got to make sure all the displays look good from the outside, and that everybody that looks at it is going to want to come in. So taking that paper down, it quite literally was like being caught in your underwear. I just remember thinking, now, everybody can see in, oh my gosh. And just that feeling of, whew, okay, take a deep breath and keep going. Everybody can see me now, and you really have taken all these years and all these ideas, and now it's on display, and that's it. It's out there. And as we also busily got ready for the grand opening, I remember I had one sister-in-law, washing the windows, another friend vacuuming, and it was just truly all hands on deck. And I'm putting the bags and the tissue and everything. All of a sudden, quite literally half an hour, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's no cash in the cash drawer. I mean, I hadn't even thought about how you ring a sale, and so then I'm just quite literally shaking, talking to technical support of our computer program. Can you just okay, if somebody's paying cash, how does it work? And that, they're walking me through the whole thing, and somebody's paying with credit card. How does that work? Is it working right? Running my credit card through to make sure it worked. And it was nuts, but it was really fun. It was really it couldn't have been, that grand opening night, it just couldn't have been a more joyful experience. Of course, my family that knew that this had been in the works for so long, they were just so supportive and so lovely, and made it everything that it could possibly be. And people bought things, and we were able to practice, and it was just wonderful. It really was the ultimate party. And then we woke up and did the party again the next day for the general public, and we had people come out. And even since, I've had people now that have become loyal customers, and some that even later became employees that said, I was there on that first day when you cut the ribbon. We had big scissors, and we really made it fun. Now I want to tell you about Monday morning, because this was also a new experience. Was Sunday, long nap, slept the whole day after our grand opening, and then Monday got all the kids off to school, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to get to work, I've got to open the shop. And I remember that feeling of walking into the store, quiet and calm, and the sun streaming in, and it was just me alone. Everybody comes out for the big grand opening party, but the Monday after the party, it's all you. And I remember walking in and thinking, oh my gosh, it's got to be a perpetual party. Now I got to bring the party every single day all by myself. And it was a little bit daunting and rather humbling to walk in that Monday after and think, all right, this is it. And that's really the story of how it started. And that whole startup phase, I just can't imagine the hours and the time that it would have taken, and of course, as I said, the years and years of planning that went into it, but also just the sense of gratitude to get to have done it and to still be doing it, and have it be so rewarding personally, but also the reward that we get from our interaction with our customers and those relationships just makes it all worthwhile. I'm going to just talk a little bit about our growth, and then I'm going to open it up to questions from you. Of course, once we were open, it was still an astounding amount of work. I got very used to operating on very little sleep, and I kind of felt, once the grand opening came, my next big deadline or goal was the holidays and getting through Christmas. And I had kind of decided that I would close the shop that week between Christmas and New Year's, and that would be my long winter's nap, and then I'd open again for the new year. And it was just full speed running. It was quite literally like running a marathon. I'll never forget that feeling on Christmas Eve of locking the door and just the excitement of getting to go home and knowing that I had a week to rest, because it was an incredible amount of work through that time. It was an interesting process to allow the business. Well, actually, let me put it this way. The business kind of becomes its own living, breathing, changing thing. And you are finding as you go along that you're constantly responding to the needs of the business. And it certainly became apparent early on that I was going to need to have employees and people other than myself. And I couldn't continue to have helpers come for free and be working in the back room, even though it was fun, because it really did feel for a while like we were all playing store. It felt like we were playing store. I'll unwrap over here, you enter the computer, you be the customer, and I'll be the ringer behind the counter, I'll put it in a pretty bag for you. It kind of felt like a certain amount of play, but that can last for a little while, and then you realize that it is work and it is serious and deserves to be treated with that level of seriousness. And so I kind of went through this growth for myself of trying to decide when and how and who to hire to work at Dear Lizzie, and who would bring the same energy to it and vision to it that I would. And of course, the first place was to talk to my customers. And one of the girls that had been just so excited about the store, and so, just had come in repeatedly, really utilized it in the way that I had hoped it would be utilized. She would come in very often. And I said, if you know of anybody that might be interested in working, I need a right-hand girl. I need a girl that can kind of work alongside me. And she goes, okay, I'll think about it. Yeah, I know a lot of people. Well, the very next day, quite literally at a gallop, came running to the store. She goes, I'm your girl. I want to be your girl. And I said, well, really? Because you have a 2-month-old baby. She goes, I know, but I want to be that. I want to be that girl. And this darling Christina has been quite literally with me ever since then. And she just works a couple days a week. Her kids go to grandma's house, and she comes in, and it's a wonderful break for her. And with her creative skills and together, she's really worked so well with me and been so supportive. Now, that was employee number 1, and it's now grown to between 15 and 18 on a regular basis. And my second key thing was to really bring in somebody that could manage the store. And once again, it came in the form of a customer who enjoyed the store. After we had opened the bistro, I had this darling girl come in who, brought her resume and touted first her experience as having worked at Subway. So she was going to help me in the bistro, but in looking at her resume and all the things that she had, and in talking to her, I decided that no, I needed her to be right alongside me, and she became my personal assistant, and then in a big gift to ourselves on our anniversary, I asked her if she would manage the store, and Gabe actually happens to be here today, so I have to acknowledge. This person has just quite literally changed the nature of my life and the nature of my business, to have somebody so capable. And this is how it usually works for us. She'll say, is there any reason why you don't think I should be doing payroll for you? No, I'd love for you to be doing payroll for me. Okay, well, and I would think to myself, okay, well, next time I'm doing payroll, really the pace of everything is often so fast that I have a hard time stopping long enough to allow these changes to happen and allow other people to take on the responsibilities. You go from quite literally doing everything, taking out the garbage, unpacking the boxes, doing the displays, doing the payroll, doing the scheduling, whatever. It's just a funny feeling to transfer those things over. So sweet Gabe, next time I was doing payroll, oh, you're doing payroll? Can I just stand right here? And then she would just stand right at my shoulder, and there she's taking notes. And quite literally, because of the capable, incredible person she is, she's doing it the very next time, and she's doing it every time. And I'm wondering, why did I wait so long to let her take that on? And so in her sweet way, she has taken these very core and vital aspects of the business and taken them upon herself, which has allowed me to focus on other things like our incredible growth of last fall. It just really couldn't have happened without somebody in place that's right alongside me, that understands how I do things, understands the nature of the business, what we're trying to relay, and that she can also have those relationships with the other employees there and keep all those things going. It's made all the difference. And so that in itself, during our growth, bringing on the right employees, has been just a phenomenal experience. I'm going to turn. There's so many other things we can talk about marketing and other aspects of the business, but I'm going to turn it over to you for questions. I do want to read one thing to you from my original business plan, and I just brought it so I could just read it directly. But this was, of course, as you know, part of my pitch, part of trying to win my financing and win the lease on the space. But I like how it summarized what I believe Dear Lizzie could be. As my own ideal customer living within 1 mile of this premier location, I have an intimate understanding and know firsthand what a girl wants. Dear Lizzie will first and foremost be a delightful place to be. From the moment our customers step inside, our every effort will be to tickle their fancy. It will smell and sound wonderful, be visually stimulating in color and texture, and inspire enthusiasm for home and place. One might purchase that perfect slip-covered chair or bedding set in the same breath as that little red handbag for a girlfriend just because. The sparkling silver rattle for baby's first birthday, the length of ribbon for a pretty package, the heart-shaped soaps for the guest bath. Dear Lizzie will offer the most comprehensive shopping experience around. Our customer will agree that a little scoop of gourmet candy at the counter is the perfect pick-me-up while heading off to carpool in her new crystal sunglasses. Dear Lizzie will be a place for somewhat guilty indulgences as well, where one might purchase a jaunty set of PJs and overhear someone say, "I'll have what she's having." And I love readdressing certain aspects and ways that I imagine the store, and then to be living in the store every day and seeing that there's that candy on the counter, just like I thought it would be. We have the pretty PJs over there in the corner, and it really, like I said, is a daydream that became the reality of Dear Lizzie, and I'm just so grateful to get to share that with you. And it looks like we have about 20 minutes to half an hour for questions, and so if you have anything you'd like to ask me, I'd certainly be happy to answer your questions.
When you first moved out, when you said, like, what do women do in this town? When you're looking for a place where people could just, like, go and hang out, do you feel like your store's been able to pull that off? Like, people just go there, like, just kind of like cheers or something?
Yeah. You know what? I actually, I wanted it to have that neighborhood feeling, and a lot of that comes from your ongoing interaction with people. So at first, people come in out of curiosity, or they come in because they hear it. And of course, we are a retail store, and we're selling products. So they might come in for those particular needs first. But, you know, it's such a focus of our business to develop these relationships with people that we now have quite a large, you know, customer base, and we know many of them on a first name basis. All of us do. They come in, we're happy to see them. We know about, you know, the maybe some hurts that they're having in their life or the joys that they're having in their life, and it becomes very personal. And you really do share those things in a very meaningful way. That truly is part of the reward of getting to offer that sort of environment. That really was the inspiration for the bistro as well. Even though we'd only been open a very short time, I would find that, you know, women would come in and they'd have this fun, you know, shopping experience, and then quite true, at the end they'd be standing with their bags and go, "Oh, where should we go next? Where should we go for lunch?" And really the only options at the time right there were a Subway and a Wendy's, and that just didn't suit the flavor of, you know, what we were offering. And so initially the bistro I had thought would more be focused on just desserts. And the bistro became, just by listening to what customers were wanting, you know, we kind of started out with desserts, then we ventured into some soups, but they wanted sandwiches. And so we kind of restructured very quickly what our offerings were going to be in the bistro, and that really played into this sense of a gathering place. And we have women that come for parties and plan special events there, and then also stay and shop. So just the gift of it is this wonderful, you know, wonderful, sweet energy that comes from the support that we receive from the community and doing what we love in return.
You have vendors that sell at your store now. Where do they come to you typically, or do you have to still seek them out?
You know, I travel quite a bit during the year looking for new vendors. We receive contact daily from vendors that are interested in placing products in our store. We've actually had to develop whole systems for addressing those. You know, at first people would bring things in and leave them, and we'd have a whole shelf of product that, you know, we were looking at and considering for the store. I love working with new vendors who have a product that they're excited about, and maybe, you know, most of those are home-based, and and because I was there, because that's exactly where I started and what I did, I love kind of nurturing that creativity and whenever possible and whenever we can, bringing those products into the store, and just also helping them. I mean, that's really developing their business as well. And as you go along, you see how this whole cycle and this whole process works. How our customers support us. We're in turn supporting our vendors, and it's a neat cycle. But yeah, we do get inquiries often, all the time, and we welcome them.
So you have started like this vision stream. When you started, you were going to the business aspect of it that you weren't that familiar with.
Yeah.
And so, what are some of the things that you had to compromise on as far as like what you envisioned, and then like once you're actually thrown into the technical side of it, what were some things like you had to compromise on that maybe didn't fit what you saw in the first place?
That's a really good question. The first thing, like I mentioned, was the space itself, and just kind of really kind of changing my aesthetic about what I thought the space should look like. As it turns out, it feels like it was really hardly a compromise at all. I think it worked out to the better way in the space that we ended up with. One of the interesting things about going through the process, and it's kind of like I said, there's no one path. And so if you kind of leave yourself open to the possibilities as they present themselves, then that'll take you down different roads as well. And so even though I had an idea of what the store could be and feel like and look like, that was kind of a loose, there was a looseness to that still. And if you think about all the ways we've grown, I never imagined that at the beginning. I really never imagined beyond me myself working behind the counter all day long. So, just to be open to the ideas as they presented themselves, and then to go after those ideas was a big part of it. A big part of that process.
What are some things you wish you would have known along the way, some mistakes that were made, that were overcome, or maybe still in the process?
That's a good question. One thing that I learned along the way is just to not wait for somebody to handle something for you or to take care of something for you. You almost have to be fierce about your drive to get things done. I have a metaphor for this that we kind of laugh about in our house, and it's like, I'm going to make the dang chicken salad myself. And it kind of happened when we brought on the bistro, and it was going to be a little dessert pastry shop, and then suddenly we were developing a menu for lunch, and I thought, okay, I need somebody to come and do some recipe. I need somebody to come in and do a menu and some recipes for us. And kind of got stuck in this little teeny cycle for about 1 week is all it lasted, where I was kind of looking for either a caterer or somebody that could come in with some ideas of food. Now, I don't have a food background, so this was probably, of everything we've done at Dear Lizzie, the absolute most challenging thing I've ever undertaken was this bistro, because food is its whole, it wasn't just an expansion of the store. It really was like starting a whole separate business. And about a week into it, I just thought, what am I waiting for? I can make my own chicken salad. I just went home and I got the recipe that I've been doing for showers for the last 12 years, and I made the chicken salad, and that is the chicken salad that we still eat. And I just focused my mind on the attention of developing that menu, came up with it, and that's how it is, and that's the menu that we still use to this day. So I think when you see, I think I had a little bit of a barrier in front of myself. Just it was self-imposed, because I thought, well, I need a caterer, I need a chef, I need somebody who can do this for me. No, you can make your own chicken salad. So just if you find that there's something you need to do, just figure it out and get it done.
In terms of your time, how has it changed the time that you have dedicated to the business from, like, even compared to when you did your home businesses beforehand to like the first year that it was open? is it lighter now being our managers, or is it even more because you have like the other branches of the store?
Yeah, it's interesting to see how the time, how the use of my time has changed. The first year of the store, and really more like the first year of the store, it was crushing the amount of work, and it was, I think I was totally prepared for that. People say, "Oh, is it more work than you expected? Was it any easier or harder than you expected?" I knew that this store would be very demanding, and it was really never more or less than I imagined it would be. The thing that was a little bit more than I imagined it would be was the sacrifice of my family to not have me at home. That was a huge shift in how our family, had been running. And I think I had kind of thought, oh, the kids will be able to come over after school. But when you're at work, it really is work. You really are working, and they know that, and they know that even when they're there, and this is what I learned from running a home-based business, you can be right there and you're far, far away because you're involved in your head and your tasks or whatever. So opening the store physically took me away from my family. My husband was absolutely phenomenal during that stretch, in particular the first 6 months or so. I mean, would bring me my lunch to work. There wasn't even just 2 minutes to step away. I would run home, eat dinner, and then go back and be doing, inventory things, paperwork, all the backroom things. It was just all happening at once. So, and really good at working all night long. I would have neighbors say, I had to go to a 5 a.m. basketball thing, and I saw your car there. Was that, were you coming or going? Coming or going? I was like, shh, we don't talk about that. So a lot of really intense work. Never. I've had people ask me, do you ever kind of get bummed about basically about the amount of work, that, or the amount of time that it takes? And I can honestly, 100% from the bottom of my soul say I have never once gone to Dear Lizzie and felt, what's the word, upset or frustrated that I need to be there. It's become a part of our lives, and my family, I have to say, my 2 oldest children are here with me today. They've adjusted beautifully, and both my son and my daughter work alongside me now whenever they can, and I absolutely love that. Of course, my husband is still fantastic, and every year around the new year, I think this is the year that I'm going to know what's in the refrigerator. It hasn't happened yet. They've done great. They've done great with my absence and in supporting the business. And of course, now the way things have changed and evolved, this is the business that supports our lives. And so they understand that, and they're very helpful and very supportive of the time that it takes. As far as my time becoming less, it has gotten a little bit easier. We kind of went through the same cycle again last fall with all the grand openings, but my managers and my employees really do have freed me to be able to focus on some other aspects of the business that I've been interested in working on since the beginning, and the expansions. And I really do enjoy that I can break away most days, as it turns out now, for dinner at home with my family, and that's really nice. And they've made that possible. Yeah.
As you were starting up, was there a period where money got tight to make lease and things like that, or was your business profitable from the beginning?
Well, I remember asking my loan officer, right off the bat, how does this actually work? Because, when you take on a loan like that, it's like taking on a mortgage, essentially. And I just couldn't understand how your little everyday sales could ever address this block of debt that you've accumulated. And she kind of explained this process of you view the amount that you owe every month, that monthly payment, as what you owe. And of course, the idea is that once your doors open, you'll be able to generate enough sales to cover the expense of your loan, the expense of your lease, your inventory, your employees, and when you have all that covered, then you know that you're gonna be okay. And thankfully, with very careful attention to purchasing in particular, with very careful attention to the things that I could control cost-wise, we've been okay that way. Yeah.
Do you ever want to expand into another section of the state or go to another state?
You know what? I have thought about that actually, and interestingly enough, the nature of our business has been so hands-on and so much a part of me being there. Both my manager and I literally live within 3 minutes of the store, and so I haven't quite figured out how the way I do business I could comfortably do that, but not this year. This year's a year of rest after all those openings last year, but it is something that I'd love to consider. You know, it's fun opening a store. So, oh, you had a question.
And so I was going to ask you, what are your plans for the future?
For the future?
Next for Dear Lizzie?
Yeah. Well, right now, you know, we're kind of facing some challenging economic news of the world, and so this year I think is a year to just kind of hunker down and focus on what's right in front of us, and so that's kind of my goal. We had a very exciting piece of marketing news come through the other day, and we were selected to be in a national publication, Romantic Home. They're going to feature our store in May, which I'm thrilled about, and that kind of is giving me a little fire to further develop our website and what we offer on our website. So that's my next task at hand.
I know this is my third question, but actually,
No, it's okay.
Are
Good.
the clothes from your store?
Yes, they are. Bits and pieces, and the jewelry, and we have a lot of fun. You know, it's a special event every day at Dear Lizzie, and part of my wardrobe has just become part of who I am, and my neighbors know that this is what you'll see me riding my pink bike around the park in during the summer. Is just how it works now. So I do enjoy it. It's really fun, and it's a fun atmosphere, and it's part of the party.
I'm just curious if the new law going into effect on February 10th.
Yes.
But is that going to affect your business?
You know what? Yes, there is actually a new child protection law, a lead law. The name slips my grasp right now. It is something I'm just kind of wrapping my mind around, to be completely honest. When I first heard about it about a year ago, it appeared to mostly focus on manufacturers, but it doesn't. It also is directed at retailers, and it has very strict requirements that all your products be certified as lead-free. And it's not just the manufacturer that is responsible for certifying that, it's also the retailer. So with the holidays as they were, and then of course this presentation to you, that's on my desk, top of the desk for tomorrow, to kind of look at the ways that that's going to impact us. We have been hearing from a lot of our vendors that they are compliant, that they have done the testing. It's extremely expensive and cost prohibitive. I had one, and it's interesting to me because I think instinctively I thought it would be affecting the type toys and those type of products, but it's not. It's absolutely everything. So even apparel manufacturers also are required to do this testing on their zippers and their buttons. And this one in particular, very small, it cost them $10,000 to become compliant. And that's a big expense for a small business. So I don't know exactly what it's going to entail for us, but it's very interesting. And from what I can tell, I've also had some emails from other vendors that are actually eliminating children's products from their product line because they don't believe that they can become compliant or afford to become compliant. That's the nuts and bolts. No fun. Yeah.
Do you ever still make your own products for your store?
You know what? I do. I feel like every year I kind of come around to this idea that this is the year that we're going to, be more hands-on, because you kind of get swept away in the tasks of the day. But I do have ideas of things that we would like to do, and the party skirts were a wonderful, thing to bring to it, and we're doing similar things over at La Di Da with with blankets and private label, merchandise that way. And so wherever we can, we love to do that. And it's what our customers notice that too. Like the gorgeous mannequin made out of paper. Rosie, my daughter, I just love to give her that assignment. Do a mannequin for me for the Valentine display or whatever. And it's all out of ribbons and papers and fabrics. And our customers really like that. They like that creative touch. We like to make bows. We call it tying the bow. If you can get all the tasks done, like all the hard work done, it's almost like getting to dessert when you get to tie the bows on the packages and tie the bows on the displays. It really is the finishing touch that is what makes us unique. So we always look for those moments when we can do that. Well, I want to thank you once again for allowing me to come. It's been my absolute pleasure, and I wish all of you the best of luck in whatever your daydreams may be.
I'd like to thank you, too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, I'll grab my water.